Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into something huge happening in Spain, a massive plan in 2026 to regularize hundreds of thousands of undocumented residents. Now, this isn't just an immigration story, it's a really big economic shift, and we're going to break down exactly how it's all supposed to work. Okay, let's just start with the number that's at the heart of this whole thing, 500,000. 500,000. That's the estimated number of people who are already living and, in a lot of cases, working in Spain without any official papers. That's a huge figure, and it really sets the stage for why the government is taking such a massive step. So, the fancy government term for this is Regularización Extraordinaria. But what does that really mean? Well, think of it as a bridge. It's a process the government's creating for people who are already inside the country to move them from the shadows of the informal economy into the official system with legal residency and the right to work. Here's how we're going to break it all down for you. First, we'll look at why this is even a problem. Then, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of the 2026 plan itself. After that, we'll walk you through what it takes to get legal status and, actually get a job. And finally, we'll zoom out and see what all this means for Spain as a whole. All right, so let's get right into it. Why is this happening in the first place? Why now? Well, having 500,000 people living outside the official system creates some pretty big economic and social challenges, and the government is finally aiming to tackle them head on. And if you look at the government's official goal, it's super clear. They're trying to move people from working under the table into the official job market, and this is key, into the social security system. This isn't just about legal status. It's about taxes, it's about contributions, it's about making an entire workforce visible. Okay, so we know the why. Now for the how. How is this whole thing actually going to work? Let's get into the specifics, the rules, the dates, all the important details. Now, this is where you really need to pay attention, because the timeline here is tight. The most important date on this entire slide, December 31st, 2025. You have to prove you're in Spain before that day, no exceptions. And then, look at the application window. It's incredibly short. It opens in April 2026 and slams shut at the end of June. That's it. The good news, they're promising to try and get you an answer in about 90 days. So who is actually eligible for this? Well, there are basically 4 big hurdles you have to clear. First, you've got to prove you've been living in Spain for at least 5 months straight. Second, a clean criminal record for the last 5 years is a must, and that's for both Spain and your home country. Third, this is for people who are currently undocumented or irregular. And finally, you have to show that you're part of the community, that you have ties to Spain. And the best way to do that Empadronamiento, your local city registration, is going to be your best friend. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. If you're someone thinking about applying, what's in it for you? And what's the pile of paperwork you need to start gathering right now? And look, if you get approved, the benefits are pretty amazing, and they kick in right away. You get a 1-year residence and work permit, which means you can work for a company or for yourself. That permit can then be renewed for 4 more years. And for families, this is huge. Your kids get a 5-year permit immediately. Oh, and one more really important thing. The second you apply, any deportation process against you is put on hold. Of course, to get all that, you need your ducks in a row. We're talking a valid passport, of course. Those criminal record certificates, they need to be official, apostilled, and translated by a certified translator. Don't cut corners on that. And then you need proof you've actually been living here. Again, that Empadronamiento is gold, but things like bank statements or rental contracts help too. Okay, so getting the legal papers is one massive step, but let's be real, it's not the end of the story. The next big challenge is turning that piece of paper, that right to work, into an actual paycheck. And this is where the conversation shifts from government rules to the real world of the job market. So let's just ask the question straight up. You've been approved, you've got your permit in hand, now what? How do you actually go find a legal job? And this is where you see a real handoff happening. The government's job is to open the door, right? They grant you the legal status, they give you permission to work, but then it's up to the private sector, companies, recruiters, to actually walk you through that door and connect you with a job. And we're already seeing companies gear up for this. Take a company called LeadTech, for example. They're a recruitment firm, and their whole business model is basically designed to bridge this exact gap, getting skilled workers who have just gotten their papers ready for real legal jobs waiting for them. So what kinds of jobs are we even talking about here? Well, LeadTech's focus gives us a pretty good idea of where Spain needs people the most. Think construction, masons, painters, you name it. Industrial jobs, manufacturing roles, people who can operate heavy machinery. And of course, agriculture. These are all areas that are desperate for workers. Now, LeTech is very, very clear about one thing, and it's an important distinction. They are a recruitment company, not an immigration law firm. They don't handle your visa or residency application. Their job starts after you've sorted all that out with the government. Simply put, they find jobs for legal workers. They don't make workers legal. Okay, let's pull the camera back one last time and look at the whole landscape. What does all of this, the regularization, the recruitment, the whole pipeline, really mean for Spain? When you boil it all down, there are really two big things happening at the same time. On one side, you have the government's goals: bring people into the formal system, get more social security contributions, and shrink that underground economy. And on the other side, you have the economy's needs: fill massive labor shortages, match skilled people with jobs, and prop up key industries like construction. It's a two-pronged attack, really. And that really leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? This whole approach, tying a path to legal status directly to the needs of the job market, is a pretty bold move. Could this become the new playbook? A model for other countries facing the same kinds of problems? It's definitely something we'll be watching.